Give me an idea of your like basic. I'm gonna add something up. Your basic work week, like anything you have every week, and then what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, let's see. When I started the business, it was different. I would get up at 7 in the morning and start making phone calls even though people weren't awake, and I'd go to bed at night having made a phone call at 9 o'clock at night. Now I get up at the crack of 9, and no, I'm kidding. I'm in the gym working out early in the morning. I don't make any reference to real estate until later on in the morning. Generally, I don't get to the office before 9. But the very first things I do, I like keeping it simple. I like the spiral notebook thing. Anyone use spiral notebooks like this? Okay, this is, you might think these other systems are great. I have an iPad, which I also use for a number of different purposes. But the basic Bible is, this is the running list of everything that you ever do in the day, in your life. Now, you can transfer from this to your iPad, to your contacts list, to your files. But this is where for me, this is where you'll find everything that I ever did since 1981 when I started using this. So, little circles that say this is what I have to do. So I start with a to-do list, and it runs. I don't expect to get everything on the list done, but the next day I go back, get the stuff I didn't done from the previous day, start with that, make the running list. So I start off with a list, because if I don't make a list, then I'm just a ping pong ball battering back and forth with whatever happened yesterday that I didn't get to today. And we're all crisis oriented. You can't help but be. That's the way this business is, and I hate, and your clients will hate, a phone message that says, "I'll return your phone calls at 3 p.m. this afternoon." No! Your client calls you. Now, you can do whatever interviews you want with your clients, but when they call you, they expect you to answer the phone, or your assistant, or somebody that can answer their question or handle their problem. So I don't have a hard and fast rule about what gets done when. But I do start off with a list, the first thing I do in the morning I get in, I look for the new listings, see what's there. I search the postings to see if there's any new properties that will work for any of my clients. I contact all of my clients that I'm working with, clients, sellers, and buyers, as many times during the week as I can get in. I love email. Wasn't that the greatest invention ever? I talk a lot, but I don't like talking to people. So email allows me to talk to a bunch of people really quickly, and you can do it, except while driving. You can do it any time of the day or night, and it's great. These people, the biggest problem that people have with their agents when they hire them, number one is lack of communication, right? Everybody hears that. So I talk to my sellers before. It's best for you to talk to them before they talk to you. They love that. Be first. So I spend a lot of time in the mornings, particularly, writing emails to buyers and sellers that I'm working with, even if nothing's going on. Just want to tell you nothing's going on. That contact is way more meaningful than waiting a week to contact them because you have nothing to tell them. I work off my to-do list during the course of the day and during the course of the week. I transfer important items into the files. My assistant, I have one assistant, she's been with me since 1987. There's probably some people in this room that weren't born then either. But she actually is my mother-in-law as well, which many of you may find strange. But and she will be with me until she decides she doesn't want to work anymore. Because with her I have the built-in loyalty that I know that I'm not training my competition. So keep that in mind when you hire assistants. And I spend an hour a day on my warm list, and I do somewhere. Doesn't have to be a solid hour at one time. Throughout the day, I'll manage to do an hour a day calling past clients, or mailing past clients, or emailing past clients. It's always, these are the things that we don't normally do. The most enjoyable thing you can do is contact a past client that loved what you did. With all the beating up that we take during the course of the day, it's nice to call somebody that loved you. And of course, as always, ask for referrals as you go along. But that's I look for systems that can help me. Darren and I both use a system called SmartZip. I don't know if any of you are using that, but if you get an opportunity to look at this company, if there's any territories left, they do analytics that basically carve down your farm, so you're only going to mail to the 20% of the farm that's most likely to do something in the next 12 months. That, for me, that saves a lot of time, so I can spend a lot of time in that farm, and I do spend a lot more time doing that than I do on any other courses of mailing that I do that produce results. So, because I just like the idea I can mail to these guys 4 times a year instead of once a year for the same amount of money. So when I got in the business, they used to say if you're going to work for sub-owners or expires, if you're not willing to contact them 6 times, don't make the first call. So it's the same kind of thing, repetition. For me, systems aren't so much the technology as the doing. Shut up and do. You know, that's the rule I follow.
Really early. I have 2 little ones, so whether or not I want to be, I'm up early. I get up about 5, and mine is just a little different from a lot of these guys. I do a lot of short sales, and because I do a lot of short sales and bank owns, I'm dealing with a lot of Central Time and East Coast. So I get up at 5 a.m., I roll over, I unplug my iPad, I see what's come in, and what I need to handle immediately. A lot of times I have things I have to automatically send to them. Just clicking in and out. There we go, at 5 a.m. So I handle that. I get anything that's an immediate hazard, you know, crisis, get it taken care of. I go to the gym. I work off some frustrations from whatever I just handled. And then on my way back, I generally touch base with escrows. I leave voicemails because they're not in the office at 7 a.m. And generally they can follow up via email. I then get my kids to school. I come back and I handle a lot of follow-up, a lot of touching bases with clients. I make sure that the emails that needed to go out within my exact contact have gone out. I agree with repetition, repetition, repetition. I tell them what I'm going to tell them, I tell them what I'm telling them, then I tell them what I just told them. And generally that's the best way for it to sink in with a client. I then do whatever paperwork I have to get done in the day. I have a lot of take sheets, I have a lot of REO stuff I have to get done. And I handle most of that in the mornings. Most of my afternoons I spend meeting BPOs because I need to justify the pricing of my short sales. I meet appraisers, inspections, I try to do in the afternoon. And then before all the short sale customer service lines close, I escalate all my files. And the one thing that I do that's not tech savvy at all, but is really cool and works for me, and I have a picture of it on here. My husband, who's my partner, wanted me to bring it, but I chose not to, and we'll see if you can see it. This is a magnetic board, and the magnetic board has 6 weekly strips on it. Each strip can be moved up from the bottom of your calendar. This is what I do to manage all of my notice of defaults and all of my notice of trustee sales. If you do not do this and you don't have a title company that prepares you for what's happening with your properties, you will lose them to foreclosure. I have all of the highlighted important information. I work a lot with Bank of America. Bank of America has timelines that are 1-day escalations, 3-day escalations, 5-day escalations. If you do not call back at 2 days, 3 days, 5 days and escalate, your negotiator is not going to do the task. They just don't. So I keep all of that on my calendar. I move my weeks up. I mark everything out. I mark my 30 days from notice. I mark when it's possibly that it can go to trustee sale. I mark all of it. I follow up on all of it. I check with title. I call the companies that are handling the trustee sales just to make sure everything's as it should be. Every day I can look at this calendar and see what's happening. And it's not really technologically savvy, but I can look at that from my computer and look at it and see, oh, okay, this week I could have a problem. So at the end of my day, I call and I escalate all my files that I need to escalate, and that can usually take about an hour to escalate all my files. It's a lot of work, but I negotiate all my own shorts. And then business in the evenings show a lot of properties. My husband does most of the showings, so we kind of trade back and forth on that. We do typically hold open houses every Saturday, every Sunday on one of our properties. My office is family oriented. We have 6 family members in the office that are all licensed. And if I'm not sitting, I can get one of my family members to sit on my properties. So we do really emphasize our open houses and we get a lot of leads from them. So it's 7 days a week for us.
My typical morning when I'm on schedule, I will preface this because we all get off schedule, but if I'm on schedule, I start the night before, and that's by creating a list and preparing myself for what kind of things I have to get done the next day. If there's anything urgent, at least I kind of know hitting the ground the next day what I'm up against. Again, if I'm on schedule and I'm in the groove, I typically get to the office around 8 o'clock, and I will spend the first couple of hours on the phone calling whatever list it is that I prepared from the night before, whether it be expireds that didn't sell and need some help getting sold, whether it's just some past clients, somebody you want to get in touch with, whether it's just calling people around just listed, just sold, whatever it is, I try to get up in the morning and get in some sort of action and get the thing that most of us least like to do first before we get derailed by everything else. And I will say that sometimes I'll come into the office and I have role play partners set up anywhere in the country, preferably Pacific Standard Time, and pick up the phone and we'll go back and forth conversations just to kind of get you in the groove and get you going to what kind of obstacles you could be presented with on the other end of the phone. And typically, if I've finished those 2 hours, I feel like I've done my job for the day, and I feel so much more satisfied, like I've actually been out there trying to do business-seeking opportunities, which so many of us, unfortunately, if I go to the office and I hit my email right away, my day is derailed. It is. It's owned to whatever outside forces come in. So unfortunately, that is something I know we all, it's like a plague we all have to deal with. So if I can get in and do the 2 hours of prospecting, I feel really good. At that point, my phone's probably rang 20 times, and there's another addition to that list of things that I need to get to. But it's really probably 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning where people are kind of just getting going. You've got plenty of the time left in the day to actually get done what we need to get done. So at that point, I'll address whatever there is that needs to be done for our day-to-day work, or try to think of some creative things, if I have some extra time. But usually it funnels back around towards the end of the day to trying to find something again that's a business-seeking opportunity for us. Whether it's going out and door knocking, whether it's just dropping a newsletter, whether it's going, getting on the phones again, whether it's calling your past clients, whether it's calling a buddy, anything you can do. And I try to have a minimum standard. Again, I don't always hold to this, and we do all get derailed by certain things that are going on in our day, but I try to hold a minimum standard of contacts that I make, because if you're talking to even 10 new faces a day or 10 new conversations over a period of, like Rob was saying, consistency, over time you're developing 50 a week and then 200 a month. It's like you could be, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to get business if you're consistent and you're out there doing it. So, and then the other thing I would just add is that along the day, I'm here today, I'm going to be writing tons of notes because I know these guys have so much to say. I think just trying to learn and schedule in some time, carve out some time to read something that expands you in the industry and makes you a more powerful agent, someone that is growing, that someone wants to work with.
So, okay, schedule. This is really highly technological. You see my little my pad here. So this is my perfect week, and all of us have perfect weeks, and we have, what we talk, life can sometimes get in the way. So I'll tell you what my perfect week looks like. I wake up at 6:15, 6 o'clock, sometimes 5:30. I was excited this morning. I usually get up and I pull weeds. I go out in the garden. And I love to garden, and I have a very kind of complicated, abundant, non-conventional garden, and there's a lot of cracks where little weeds come up, and I feel very productive when I pull them out. And I have a really big giant cup of coffee, and my husband says, he goes, "That is not a cup, Marie. That is like 4 cups." So I drink my coffee in the morning, and I make steel-cut oatmeal with all sorts of cool stuff in it, and a Fuji apple, and I have breakfast. How am I doing? Okay. Oh, and I grind my own flaxseed, and I put it in there. And then,
so it's noon now?
It's what?
What time of day is this?
It's 6:30, Dan. I've known him since he was a child. Really, right. Okay, so every day I do that, and by 7 o'clock, 7:30, I'm getting dressed. Mondays, currently, I'm taking a class. You know, one of the things that my husband and I talk about that we really love is learning. So I'm always wanting to learn. And there is nobody in this room that can't continue to learn. And I always find it so interesting. When I was a new agent, I was like, what program, what are these guys going to tell me that's going to be magical, that will make me successful? And here we are with our spiral notebooks, right? And our issues with all the computer programs and all that stuff. Like we haven't told you guys anything magical yet, right? Because honestly, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, period. Right? How we tell them that is going to be a function of our personalities, whether it's a computer program or an email or a dropping something off. And, you know, there isn't a program that's going to be magical for any of us. So that's my nugget for you. So, okay, so I'm taking a class all day Mondays, but normally I come into the office every day. Again, this is my perfect week. Lead generate, which Darren, you talked about, because everything will get in the way for you. So if you open your email or pick up the phone or respond to something, you are spiraling. I'm spiraling down. So when you come into the office and you do your lead generating prospecting, I'm looking for a new word for that, because there's something in my little hippie mind that hates that word, that does not want to say lead generating. So I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but it's what?
Weed pulling.
No, I don't like that. Something, I don't know. Something gardening, right? Exactly. All right, so
cultivating.
Nice, Dan.
Trademark.
All right. Okay, so that's what I do, and then we have a team meeting. We have a team, again, where there's 7 of us. We sit around, we talk about our escrows, and we use a board just like you talked about. You know, where is everything? My partner is really good with Excel spreadsheets, so she's got all the percentages and are we on target, and those, looking at your numbers is really important.
Marie,
yes.
Do you guys meet with the team every day or once a week?
We meet once a week, but because we're in 812 square feet in our little office there on 15th and PCH, we just have lots of opportunities to meet. And because there are 6 women and 1 man, we're always coming in and out of the bathroom. And we have a shower there, so it's awesome. Okay, so then lead generate, team meeting, and that is every morning. That's every morning. The other kind of weekly things that we do, I'm in a mastermind group, have been for, I don't know how, it's like 8, 9 years, 10 years. Meet on Wednesdays. Dan's mom was in it, and now Dan's in it. So I do that. I have scripts practice. Oh, excuse me. I do scripts every morning, 4 mornings a week. And now I'm going into our office, which is really exciting, from 8:30 to 9. I love that. And I get to practice, interviewing people, buyer objections, seller objections, because, I think that's really important that we practice when we're not under pressure. Let's see, go on Brokers Open every Thursday and Friday unless I'm holding one. You cannot be successful in this business if you're not going on Brokers Opens and knowing your inventory. There is no, would you guys agree to that? If you don't know what is out there, you will not be able to list a property or show a buyer. You can't make up for that. And I see a lot of faces that I see out at brokers, and sadly, I see a lot of faces that I don't.